Show. That's right. Welcome and welcome back, everybody, to the always miserable show. Notre Dame's in big trouble. Big trouble. Let's get into this misery because this one, you got big picture problems. You got small picture problems. You got problems next week. You got problems next year. You got problems all over the place and in every different time frame that you want. I've been accused of being the over-emotional guy with my takes on Notre Dame. Make no mistake about it. Notre Dame's in big trouble. Big trouble. Let's get into this freaking nightmare. As always, you can find me on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. If you want to see me miserable every day, hit subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up every time my head pops off my carcass when I'm yelling. Notifications on again. That way you're alerted every time John freaks out after Notre Dame lets you down again. You don't want to miss it, do you? Twitter, search bar Always Irish Rat. Always Irish Inc. Oh, baby, I'm getting nailed by the LSU contingent. I was hard on them earlier today when Kelly was stinking it up and they came back and won, and now they're letting me have it. I deserve it. That's how this game's played, you guys. I'm in this world and the media thing, and I'm here. That's how the game's played. So they're killing me, and they're within their rights to do it. I deserve it. I'll take it like a big boy. Okay? Twitter, Always Irish Inc. I already did that. I'm so out of my mind. I can't even think straight. Emails, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Air out your complaints via words. Send me them. Audio only, anywhere you want it, you can get it if you really want it. Call in line 312-900-8815. I got good news and I got bad news. Good news is we broke a record. We had just under 1,000 concurrent viewers on the postgame show. That is the highest we've ever had. That is good. The bad news is that only happened because everybody knew how miserable I was. I'm not ignorant enough to think all those people were well-intentioned Notre Dame people that wanted to tune in and see what we could do to make this all better. BS. I'm guessing over half of those 1,000 people tuned in just to see me be upset. And I don't blame them. If I was them, I'd do it too. If I hated Notre Dame and I hated me. Instagram, Facebook, all that. Always Irish Inc. USA Today, Irish Wire. Read all about the misery. We got articles all the time. So here's where we're going to start this. This result is multi-layered bad. This isn't just about what this game means for this year and you're out of the playoff now and what's the record going to be and all that. That is small potatoes compared to the big picture questions that are now fair to ask as a result of this result. That is by far the worst part of this. Because it isn't just this one game and what this does for this year. It is now fair to ask tough questions about everything. And that is a can of worms that's really dangerous once you have to open it. And we're barely halfway through the season and we already have to go down that path. Every big picture question you want to ask is fair game. Everything. You want to ask about Freeman, it's fair game. You want to be mad at Parker and ask what should happen, fair game. You want to talk about getting the guys ready, being emotionally prepared, matching the physicality of the other team, playing with no discipline, not being able to execute anything on offense, and the offense getting worse the more games they play instead of better. It's all fair game. All of it. All of the questions are fair. I am taking my shots because I supported Freeman. questions about where his development is at and what kind of grasp he has on the reins of all this. It's all fair. It's all fair. There is nothing about what happened tonight that can be defended with excuses at all. At all. So if you want to say, John, you're an idiot, you wanted Freeman, and look at what's going on, I can't tell you you're wrong right now. There are no excuses that make this okay. Notre Dame knew the moment this was going to be for Louisville, knew the buildup, knew what they had going and all that, and they failed. They did not match the moment. They did not match the moment. There was no part of this game where Notre Dame appeared to be as fired up as Louisville, as efficient as Louisville, as physical as Louisville. Never a moment. Louisville bullied Notre Dame on both sides of the football all freaking night. O-line, you never want to hear it again. You just ran the ball for 44 yards against Louisville. Louisville. Not Georgia, not Ohio State, not that. Louisville. 44 yards. No Notre Dame person's ever allowed to say O-line you again. Ever. Ever. Okay? 44 yards. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. So you got problems everywhere now. And there's small picture ones and they're bigger picture ones. It's all a problem. None of it's good enough. Maybe the defense would be good enough if the offense looked like real world offense and could help them out at all. Maybe they would look serviceable, but still, they miss too many tackles. They're too undisciplined. They have penalties. I get it. If you want to really say with a representative offense to help them a little bit, the defense could hang in there fine. But they miss way too many tackles early in games. They looked a step slow tonight. I just can't, none of it's good enough, man. Penalties, play calling, execution, special teams other than field goals, no discipline, physicality, emotion. None of it's good enough. And it's not even close to good enough. I said on the call-in radio show after the game, there's like a lane here and a map. This one is so far skewed off of the real world map of what we should be dealing with that all those big picture questions are fair to ask. And if you think it's rough now and you think it was rough after Ohio State, what's going to happen if you lay an egg at home against USC or you let that pretty boy quarterback shred you up and run all over and you have no answers? And even if the defense fights, the offense can't do anything, even against their bad defense. I don't know. I can't trust Notre Dame's offense to do anything. Are you out of your mind? You got problems. You think it's bad now? Wait and see what happens if you lay an egg next week and you let that kid carve you up. You have real issues, and now there are repercussions. This is the one that opens Pandora's box of nightmares, where you're going to start having doubts about the head coach and where his developmental track is at. You're going to start having doubts about what happens with Parker. What are we doing there? Parker's drowning, you guys. Parker's drowning. He is going down with the Titanic right now. What is Notre Dame's offensive identity? Can I ask the group? Let me just ask that. What is Notre Dame's offensive identity? They don't have one. They're not good at anything. Unless they're playing a high school team, they're not efficient or good at anything. It's not apparent what the plan is, what they want it to be, how they want it to look. And whatever the plan was, there's no execution. There's no execution. And on top of that, the cherry on top of the poop sundae is when the plan that's already indistinguishable and unidentifiable, and it doesn't even look like there is one, doesn't work. There's nothing to pivot to. There's no adjustment. There's no transition to something else. Nothing. If the bad plan that's unidentifiable doesn't work, there's nothing even to pivot to. Parker is drowning. That is your biggest immediate issue to me, I think. Like, I'm mad about all of it. I'm mad you didn't match their emotion. I'm mad you didn't match their physicality. Special teams regression. The kicker made, the kick, but everything else is getting worse and regressing. Punts, coverages, just all of it's getting worse. There's a lot of bad. There's a lot of bad. And I don't know what the light at the end of the tunnel is because there's no quick fixes for these issues. Like, and here's the other thing I got to say. Man, I'm sorry I keep adjusting my glasses. My contacts were burning me out. I'm seeing those stars in my eyes again, like I did after Ohio State. And you know what else, too? People asked me why I seemed like I was able to keep it together a little better for the post-game show after this than Ohio State. You know why? I went live 30 seconds after we lost the Ohio State game on the last dramatic play. Unfortunately, we were so bad. I had 15 or 20 real-time minutes to be able to process this before I went live. And that doesn't seem like a lot of time, but 15 or 20 minutes is a lot more than 15 or 20 seconds for me to wrap my mind around what we saw. So I was in a little better of a place to be able to process that tonight. But if you're looking at the biggest problems right in front of me, this offense, I think, has got to be the first one. They don't know who they are. They don't know what they want to be. They don't know what they can be. They don't know how to get there. They don't know even the personnel of who they're using for what plays doesn't match up. The offensive line is a disgrace. Just a disgrace. Like you couldn't do anything. And so short term, this offense is probably the biggest problem of 50 of them. That offense is probably the biggest one. My question to the group is, how do you even begin to get that on track this week going into USC? How do you even try and get that on track? Freeman's a defensive guy. I don't think he's the one that could get in there and start trying to scheme up an offense. Do you need to give Gino Guidugli, who has more experience, the quarterback coach, does he need to be more involved in scheme or something? Because your offense is getting worse. It's not getting better. Your offense gets worse every game. They're trending the wrong way. They're literally getting more bad. There's no rhythm. There's no plan. There's no execution. There's no blocking. There's no flow. There's no creativity. There's no efficiency. There's no electricity. There's nothing, bro. There's nothing. You had 17 yards rushing against Louisville at the half and 44 yards for the game. You are a disgrace to football. That's not Notre Dame football. And I understand the grind. We knew this month was going to be brutal, this 4-game stretch in a row. We all knew that was going to be tough. Tough shit, though. Like, tough shit. I acknowledge that this 4-game stretch is very, very tough. That's not an excuse to play this way. You can look over there early in the game. Notre Dame looked disinterested. And that really turns my stomach. When they showed the sidelines, our whole side looked like zombies who didn't even want to be there tonight. Hartman didn't look that engaged. Freeman looked like a zombie. Everybody on the sideline was just kind of sitting there. Everybody looked out of it. And you're not allowed to make excuses for that. You don't get to go, well, this is the third leg of a 4-leg tough stretch and give us a break. Bro, no one cares. No one cares. You got to perform. This was vintage Kelly Reese when it goes bad and you're not ready for the moment and the O-line can't do it and the offense is a mess and the defense kind of tries to hang, but and then it just gets away from you. That's what this was. And it just can't be that. Notre Dame looks slow and sloppy and just lazy. What did you have? 5 turnovers? Look at some of these stats. Look at some of these stats, you guys. Third down efficiency, 3 of 13. I want somebody's head on a platter. That's not even from Earth. Fourth down. 0 out of 2. 0 out of 2. So 3 and 13 on third downs, 0 and 2 on fourth down. It's unbelievable. 3 interceptions. I just can't. Look at this. Yards per rush, 1.6. O-line you though, right? Right? Notre Dame fans, O-line you. That's what you're going to tell me, right? We're O-line you. We're big tough guys. We bully people in the trenches. You do not. You do not. You don't do that. You've never done that. You only do that against high school teams, the lower level teams. Any game of national import that I can remember in the last 20 years, Notre Dame's lines let them down. I'll give you Q Nelson and McGlynn and Martin and whatever. I'm not saying Ronnie Stanley. I'm not saying you don't have guys individually that go to the league and they're good. But O-line, you overall, you're kidding yourself. You're insulting yourself and all of us if you say that. 1.6 yards a rush. Hey, here's good news for Notre Dame. They only had 3 penalties for 35 yards. And then you look into what they are, and they absolutely were like the worst thing that could happen at the worst time to screw us up. A face mask each side, a face mask that takes away huge plays Notre Dame need, a 1 on the O, 1 on the D. You can't make that up. It's just bad football. And I get that the 1 was 10 yards away from the play or whatever. It's just the way it's going. Maris, the first half, I saw him near the ball 20 times, and not one time did he touch the guy. I can't handle it. As much as that defense tries to hang in there, they don't tackle well. I just can't. It's just nothing's clicking. It's like pulling teeth to get any efficiency here to do anything. 5 turnovers. Think about that. 5 times Notre Dame had the ball with the chance to score. You turned it over and gave it to the other team. It's losing football 101. It was a from the first drive on, where you have an interception and then you let them shred you down and score a touchdown while their crowds all still got the buzz from the parking lot that hasn't worn off and they're all fired up. You needed to get in there and start well to shut that shit down. And what do? You throw an interception and get shredded. Like, this was a clinic on how to lose a football game. How to lose a football game 101 taught by Notre Dame. They did every single thing you can't do to win one of these games. Out-physicaled, out-willed, out-emotioned, out-coached, out-adjusted. Nothing is good enough. Nothing is good enough. And you know what else it can't be? Here's the other thing. Like we started with this discussion, you open yourself up to all sorts of ridicule and questions now, justifiably so. You're opening up that can of worms, and we need answers. We need answers. This is a week that can't be where Freeman's talking to the media, oh, we just need to execute better, and then we'll win the game. No. Like, the media that's in there this week asking those questions, you can't let it fly. It can't be that this week. This was not we just need to execute our plan better and we win and then we move on. No, this situation pulled back the layers and exposed some really big picture problems. And this can't be a week where you just do the same crap you just did and then expect a different result against USC. Whatever you're doing during the week is not working. You are failing. Whatever your plan was, or how you approach this week, or how you've been doing practices, or whatever you're trying to scheme up, it's not working. It's not good enough. You need to scrap it and go back to the building board, especially offensively. You're not good in anything. You don't do anything. You have no identity. You have no consistency. You have no rhythm. You have no flow. You have nothing. You're working off nothing. So, small picture, this week, you need to do different things, whether it's trying to build out something new, playing different guys. I don't know what it is, because the staff's not going to change before the USC game. Oh, Freeman's not ready for this job yet, but he's the head guy, so he's got a longer leash. But Parker, it's clear that he's drowning. But what are you going to do? It's clear Parker's sinking to the bottom of the ocean with a rock tied to his ankle. But what do? They're not getting rid of Parker this week. So you have two different problems here. How are you going to limp through the rest of this season without going 7-5 and losing all your recruits? And then the bigger problem is Freeman, this is his reputation on the line. So after this year, I don't care if Notre Dame wins the rest of their games. The way they lost both of the ones they've already lost is unacceptable for two totally different reasons. I don't care if they go undefeated the rest of the way. Somebody needs to answer for these two losses. The 10-guy thing and all the bad coaching that happened at the end of that game, and then this one. So you got multiple problems in multiple different time frames that aren't going away. You opened a can of worms here, and I don't know how you put that fire out. But after this year, Parker, great tight ends coach, go back to doing that. We need to get a real guy in here to run a real offense, because this ain't it. And whatever the future of the quarterback room is, or whatever that's going to look, this ain't it. This ain't it. You already got a head coach learning on the job. You can't have an OC learning on the job too. It's too much. That is too much. Too vulnerable for Notre Dame to be in that position. You already got the head guy struggling to figure all that out. It can't be Parker too. So Notre Dame's in big, big trouble. There are small picture and big picture issues all over. There is no question about where all this is headed or anything like that. That's out of bounds. It's all fair. You can ask anything you want, big picture or small. When you do what they did tonight, it's all on the table and it's all bad. So I don't know where Notre Dame goes from here, because you got USC coming up and you thought it was a must win before. Imagine it now. You can't start getting on a losing streak. Go on a losing streak into the bye, let it sink in you. Horrible. It just can't be. So this is all awful, and we'll continue to break it down. But this is about as bad as it gets, and it's a 5-alarm fire in every way. And this was an embarrassing, humiliating disgrace. I'll talk to you guys. Have a good one.